Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for something a little bit different today. I wanted to take a look behind the curtain at the life of a gaming YouTuber. Not specifically the day-to-day life, but at one time that the YouTube algorithm broke in my favor. I don't know that there's any steps you can follow to replicate this success if you're a YouTuber yourself, but it might be some interesting discussion points about the time that a video that I thought would get just a few thousand views ended up getting over 500,000 watch hours. This is literally 70 years of people watching that video non-stop. It's made a fair bit of money, not a life-changing sum, but enough that I can easily afford to take some time off, and also was able to afford a bunch of tabletop RPG books that I'd had my mind on for a little while. I'm not sure if I can give exact figures. All I'll say is it was more than $2,000 and less than $10,000. Now, I'm assuming this video might attract some people who don't normally watch my channel. My channel is about the online game Path of Exile, and it's really aimed at enfranchised players of that game. Path of Exile has a patch cycle that's repeated. Basically, players play the game for a while, get bored, quit intending to return. Then there's a shake-up announced with a major patch. Lapsed players re-engage with the game, start following channels like mine as there's discussion of all of the new things that are going to be coming in the new patch. Then the patch lands, players come back to the game, have fun for a little while, then they tend to leave again, and then come back for the next major patch. These major patches are usually 90 days apart, although in 2023, the game designers seem to be going with 120 days instead. Path of Exile's demographics, it's a much more dedicated fan base than many other games. So whilst it only ever has about 300,000 concurrent players, I do think there is a lot of overlap. So the people who play on day one on 3.19, probably the same people who played on day one in 3.20, and will probably, most of them, play on day one in 3.21. Now, there's perhaps 100,000 super fans of the game, although it's hard to pin this down. It's also very hard to define where a super fan begins and where a super fan ends. But I would say the people who are interested in my content will, broadly speaking, be about 100,000 people around the world. Doesn't mean they all watch everything that I put out or anything like it, but that these are the people who might be interested in a given video that I make, which makes it really strange when a video gets more than 250,000 views. What you're looking at here is a screenshot from my YouTube analytics. YouTube gives creators a whole bunch of tools to track your performance. And here's what my top performing videos of all time would have looked like on the 30th of November last year. Now, this is sorted in watch hours. A lot of people who aren't YouTubers tend to think in terms of views, but watch hours is probably the more significant metric for how successful a video goes. There is definitely a stronger correlation between watch hours and the amount of money that a video makes than there is between number of views and the amount of money that a video makes, for example. Also, the more watch time a video gets, the more it tends to get promoted across YouTube. Interestingly, this was YouTube's way of trying to minimize the amount of clickbait videos. Videos where the title and thumbnail promised one thing and then the video itself delivered something else. YouTube then uses this focus on watch time to penalize videos where people have buyer's remorse 10 seconds in. The key metric you want to pay attention to here is that I have 872,000 watch hours over about 10 million views. This is November of last year. What does it look like today? You'll see there's only another million views added, but the number of watch hours has exploded, 1.5 million. And the top performing video by watch hours is no longer that 19,000 hours that it was before. That video is still there, it's now number 3. Instead, there is a video with 576,000 watch hours on my channel. So we're going to drill down into that video that went a little bit crazy. But just first, let's have a look at the same list of videos. We're going to sort things a little differently, and that's going to cause a few new things to make it into the top 6. And that is, we're going to sort instead by total number of views, instead of by number of watch hours. Here you'll see that there's a couple of other videos that appear that are shorter videos. There's a 4-minute video that has 85,000 views, only got 3,000 watch hours because it's such a short video. And there's another video that's 7 minutes that was about 80,000 views. These are my top performing videos by number of views. Now, I knew with the 110,000 view video, the 85,000 view video, and the 78,000 view video, I knew all of those were going to be successful before I posted them. The 401,000 view video, I did not expect to be successful at all. I was expecting that to be a video that would appeal to my core audience, probably the 10,000 people who watch my channel the most, that most of them would watch it, most of them would enjoy it, and most other people wouldn't care. That was my expectation. I was wrong. Essentially, part of your job as a content creator is predicting how well your videos are going to go, and to some extent to modify the content that you put out accordingly. Now, I generally take an attitude of, if I think my core viewers will be interested in it, I'll make a video on it anyway, even if I don't think it will do well. And that's why I have a lot of videos that have 3,000-4,000 views on my channel that I predicted would get 3, 4, 5,000 views when I posted them, and they got about what I expected. And I can usually predict to within about a factor of 2 or so how many views a video will get. Generally speaking, my videos that are about a niche topic and that come out outside the main hype cycle of a new expansion, they tend to get about 3,000 views. The ones that are either a niche topic or a quiet part of the league, but not both of them at the same time, they tend to get about 6,000 views. The ones that are neither of those, so it's a broad topic and a good time, they tend to get about 15,000 views. And the times that I'm able to be the first person to report on something significant that pretty much everyone that's a super fan of Path of Exile cares about, those videos tend to get about 50,000 views unless a larger channel than me ends up pipping me at the post and getting their video out on it first, in which case if someone's watched Zizaran's take on a particular topic, they're not going to be interested in hearing mine unless they're part of my core audience. Now, videos that actively disappoint viewers will get less views than this. And that is, again, YouTube trying to deal with the amount of clickbait on the platform. If YouTube, based on data available to it, believes that a video has disappointed you, then it will not recommend that video again to you, and it will not recommend very similar videos to you. And if it disappoints a wide selection of people across the platform, then it will get recommended to fewer and fewer people. One of the things that's important though is that it is very seldom that I get massively more views than I'm expecting. Seldom isn't never, and there have been a couple of times that a video has taken off in search that I haven't really expected, but most of the time I'm pretty accurate at predicting which videos are going to explode. So, what happened? This is the thumbnail of the video that exploded. 3.20 patch notes, live stream discussion. It was exactly that, a live stream discussion of the patch notes. This was a substantial discussion that went for 3 3/4 hours, and to enfranchise Path of Exile players, reading the patch notes is a must-do event once per league. And discussing them is an exciting opportunity to brainstorm and to come up with all sorts of zany ideas that probably won't work very well in practice, but are fun to think about and that are fun to try. For that reason, I expected the stream to do well while it was live. Now, do well for me means having 200 to 250 concurrent viewers while it's live, and that was exactly what happened. It met my expectations live, but it didn't exceed them. I then expected the views on demand, i.e. the replays, to be in the 6,000 range. This is my experience of what these sorts of streams have done in the past, maybe 10,000 if it did unexpectedly well. And it looked like for a period of time that's what was going to happen. Then this happened. The purple line is the number of views that the stream received, either when it was live or as replays, and the green line is the amount of watch hours that it received. This is by day. You'll notice it's pretty low until about December 14. Then it starts to tick up. It wasn't actually tiny during this period, but it wasn't an exceptional performer or anything like it. It was basically meeting my projections of getting about 6,000 views after the fact. Then, at some point around December 14, 15, it turns the corner and just starts to explode. It's going up. Then everyone goes and spends Christmas with their relatives, and then it just goes up again, and then truly goes into the stratosphere here. This video has turned a corner at some point around here. Now, what I suspect has happened, remember how we've been talking about clickbait being bad and something that YouTube tries to deal with on the platform? YouTube uses the percentage of a video that you watch to estimate how much you personally like the video, and how often to recommend you similar videos in the future. Now, I think YouTube also uses your demographic history that you've provided the site and also other information about your watch history to try to work out who else is similar to you. So then other people who have similar interests to you get recommended videos that YouTube thinks you liked. And if YouTube thinks you disliked a video, then it's disinclined to recommend those videos to people with similar interests to you. For example, YouTube knows that I am male, Australian, between the ages of 35 and 44, a gamer, specifically a fan of Path of Exile, and that I like the Pathfinder 2nd Edition role-playing game. This is not an exact match for someone who is female, Canadian, also 35 to 44, also a fan of Path of Exile and gaming in general, and also a fan of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but it's a reasonably close match. And so my attitude to a video might have some impact on her recommendations, even though we're only a partial match on these categories. And this, I think, is something that's very important in how videos start to spread across YouTube. It's worth noting that the precise details of how this algorithm works are completely opaque to those of us that are content creators, and this is actually probably for the best. If you've ever done any searching for recipes on the internet, you'll be very familiar with the blog-style recipe, where you get the life story of the grandmother whose recipe it was that this was handed down from generation to generation. The reason for all this extraneous text that is not information you want is because it pads out the length of the page, which used to be the correct way to boost your position in search engine optimization rankings back a few years ago. And as a result, most of the recipes that you will find at the top of search engines these days are created that way. That is something that's very annoying as an end user. And that's why YouTube don't provide the exact details of how this works to us, because we would quite simply game it. Those that didn't game it would end up being crushed on the platform by those that did, and as a result, you would end up with a lowering of quality of videos across the entire platform. But it does end up being annoying sometimes when you can't work out exactly why something works the way it does. And so somewhere in the dark depths of the YouTube algorithm, it's trying to crunch the numbers on, is this a video that you would recommend to a general science fiction fan? Is this a video you would recommend to that subset of the population that are Australian tabletop role-playing game fans and male? And so on and so forth. And then through this, it then tries to distill down a list of who a video is good for. Now, what I suspect happened here is that a number of people logged into the game close to the major patch that was on the 10th of December. Maybe they logged in a couple of days late. And they're like, all right, I better check the patch notes because there's always big changes in the patch notes. They've gone to Google and they've typed PoE 3.20 patch notes. And one of the top suggestions has been my video. And they're like, oh, I don't need to actually read them. I can play the game and I can have this video going in the background that's discussing the ins and outs of the patch notes. And then because of Path of Exile's fresh start structure, where every league, most players, not everyone, but most players opt into what's called a challenge league, where you start the game fresh, create a new character, and then push your way through the first few acts of the game, which are basically a tutorial. And so if you're a veteran player, they're very, very easy. It's the sort of thing that's ideal to just have a 3 3/4 hour video discussing all the ins and outs of the patch notes, and you're listening to that in the background while you're playing your way through the game. This is what I suspect happened. Now, this results in a lot of people watching the video for a very long time all at once. And this increases the average view duration, but it also increases it among what you might term my core demographics, i.e. people that are already very interested in Path of Exile. And so this is then causing YouTube to build up more trust in the particular video and start recommending it a little bit more widely. And then once it gets an average view duration in the 85, 86, 87 minute range, YouTube might start considering it one of the very best videos on the entire platform to recommend to someone that has expressed any interest ever in Path of Exile. It wasn't the right video for those people at all. I would say the right video for them is probably something by either Mathel or Zizaran or Ziggy D, but instead it's something that they're going to see because it's going so well. And this ends up resulting in the hilarity of the video getting recommended to people who it is definitely not the right call for, such as a few of the people who left comments on the video. Now, the vast majority of the time that you wind up watching a video that is just a really bad fit for you, you're not going to leave a comment. So I'm guessing that these individuals represent a much larger number of people who got recommended this video for whom it was a very, very bad video. I slept behind my desk and listened to 2 hours of this bleep. What the? How do I even play this game? Is this game offline or online? I have never played this game and I have no idea how I got here. Hi! And then happened to me too, lol. What I suspect happened here is that YouTube interpreted a short-term burst of interest, genuine organic interest from a number of people in this video, with the video being of an extremely high quality and being something that should be recommended to everyone. And this had 2 consequences. Firstly, great consequences for me. And secondly, a perplexing video recommendation for a lot of people that ended up being a reasonably disappointing experience for them. Anyways, this is not going to be something you can necessarily replicate for your own channel if you're a YouTuber yourself. There is a lot of luck that's involved in content creation. And whilst I would generally say that my growth from 3,000 subscribers to 25,000 subscribers has mostly been due to hard work, my growth from 10 subscribers to 3,000 subscribers was absolutely and utterly caused by luck. And I think this is commonly the case for content creators getting their start. Anyways, I thought this would be an interesting little different video to usual. May the YouTube algorithm recommend you interesting videos.